All right, so we got notes 3.4, factoring quadratics, where the x squared lead is prime, and prime is a fancy way to say that the only way it can be divided or is by 1. Maybe I should say divided. Right? You can't divide it by 2, you can't divide it by 3, so on and so forth. So leveling up the box method. So in this particular case, right, if you'll have a number up front for your x squared. So we got ax squared. Now because it's only divisible by 1, all right, we can separate it by whatever that number in x and then just the number x, because technically there would be a 1 here if you want to get specific. And then the rest is as normal. So there is going to be a lot more guessing and checking this time. So I haven't got a pencil with an eraser. That is going to be important today. And then once again, the diagonal boxes of our answer will be your parenthesis factors for the quadratic, right? Because technically we are undistributing in our work. So I have some examples here. I have them kind of pre-written. I'm going to go through them. So we got our 2n squared goes here, so it splits up to 2n and n. Negative 35 is my C. Negative 9n is my corner. So I gotta split up and I gotta find all the factors of negative 35. Now I want to note this is a negative, so that means that I have to have a positive and a negative answer. But however, this middle answer, this middle piece of the quadratic, this b is negative, so that means my bigger number is negative. So we got 1 and negative 35. 2 doesn't work, 3 doesn't work, 4 doesn't work, 5 works. We got 5 and negative 7. And honestly, that's all that we are going to have here. Okay. So when we work this out, we might have to guess and check, okay? So I know that it is going to be a negative answer. So I could try, I think 35 is gonna be too big, 35 and 1, just looking at it, because we only need a negative 9. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna try out these two answers. So if I try 5 here and negative 7, then I got 10n and negative 7n. Well, if I add going down, that's not going to work out. So putting the 5 up top isn't going to work. So location really does matter. So let's try the other way. Instead of positive 5 being up top, let's check out negative 7 being up top and 5 being on the bottom. So 2n times negative 7 is negative 14n. n times 5 is 5n. Now when I check that going down, that works out. So that means I got my 2 parentheses. I'm going to start. It doesn't matter who goes first in your pairs. So I got n minus 7 because we got n negative 7, so n minus 7. And then we have 2n plus 5 because that 5 is positive. And there we have our final answer. We have undistributed using this little box method. Next, we got 2a squared, and then we got negative 3. Now we have a right here, so technically that is a 1a. Now let's split this. This is 2a up top, a at the bottom. It doesn't really matter who goes where. I just like putting the number up top. That's just how I work. And then put in the solo a at the bottom. Now we got negative 3. So we have a negative for our c, but our b is positive. So when we multiply, one needs to be positive and one needs to be negative. But since that a up front is positive, all right, that means maybe our bigger number is going to be positive, okay? Where are we at? So that means this is negative, this is positive. All right, so those are the only ones that can work because this is a prime number. So let's check this out. Let's try 3 up top and negative 1 at the bottom. We get 6a multiplied across negative 1a. All right, that doesn't work. So what I'm gonna do is try and flip-flop them next, since there's only one factor pair for us to work with anyways. We got 2a times -1, that's -2a. A times 3 is 3a. When I add going down, that sure does work. So now I got my pairs. So again, it doesn't matter who goes first as long as you keep the corners as the pairs. We got 2a plus 3 as our first factor. A minus 1 as our second factor for undoing the distributive property. All right, number next, why don't you pause to see if you can do this one by yourself before I start getting on it. 5x squared, split it up, we got 5x and x, oops, whoa, x, hold on, the pencil isn't penciling right now, there we go. And then we got a positive 36 on this side, negative 36 here, don't forget your x. Okay, notice that this is a positive, so we have to multiply two numbers to become positive, but in the middle, it's negative, so that means we gotta add to a negative. So that tells me that all of my answers need to be, my pairs of 36 need to be negative, because a negative times a negative gives us that positive, but a negative plus a negative is still negative. All right, here we go. So we got -1 and -36. That just seems like it's gonna be too big. We got -2 and -18. We got -3 and -12. -4 and ooh, this is gonna have a lot. I know -6 is next. -6 and -6. All right. I'm brain farting right now. We got 36 divided by -4 is -9. There we go. All right, so I gotta find which of these pairs is gonna lead us to -36. So this is where that eraser is gonna become handy. All right, so let's see here. This isn't super big, but I am multiplying by 5, so I don't want to use any of these really large numbers here, maybe. But maybe I do. I don't know. Let's, I'm going to start with 4 and 9. I just have a feeling about it, but we'll see. Let's do -9 and -4. This is -45x, -4x. Okay, that's not going to work. And the other way isn't going to work, so I'm going to cross that one out. That is a no-go. I don't think this is going to work because 6 times 6 is already 36. Let's try this friend. We will try -2 and -18. And what do we get? So we get -10x and -18x. That doesn't work out, and the other way is going to be too big. All right, so I know it's not this one. This one I know off the top of my head isn't going to work. This is definitely going to be too big, so maybe it is this one. All right, so let's see. We got -6 and -6. So we got 5 times -6 is -30x. Oh, shnikes. This is gonna work. Oh man, all right. I disregarded it, how rude of me. So as you can see, guess and check, it's very good. Using that eraser is very helpful because my mental math, even though I'm a math teacher, for some reason it wasn't liking this 5. So I wasn't seeing it, but I kind of knew this one wasn't gonna work because it already had that 36, so that's not gonna work out. So using all of them, that's okay. That's why we have an eraser to help us out. Okay, so we got that x minus 6, plus I'm doing this on the fly, on the spot, not to give myself, you know, any back out, but I get a little bit nervous doing these videos. All right, so we were able to undistribute and factor these using that box method. You saw how guess and check can help us work out the problem. And it's okay if it takes you a couple of different tries. There's no problem with that. Slow and steady is how you win the race. But thank you for watching this video.